Hope the battery works. Electric water pump. Can you hear it? That's cool. That is good. The ground is not good. So, what I think is going on here is the ground is weak. But I want to get this thing up on over there on the lift, and then make sure I check out, make sure the ground is good. Then it'll be able to start, because this thing has started before and it sounds good. After I wiped it up a little bit underneath, it's got a nice deep oil pan, a nice Corvette ATI damper and hub. The OptiSpark without any vents, that needs to be vented to the intake manifold. I'll work on that. And it's got it does not have a Corvette starter. It's got an old original. It needs to get a Corvette starter, and that might really help it on the start. I checked all the grounds. The one ground that the engine has is to the frame here, and that might need improvement. It looks not bad, but not good. And then back here is where the battery well is, where the battery sits behind the driver, and it comes, through a nice grommet here, and it's grounded here, but it may not be totally contacting the frame because it has the anti-rust here. Transmission's the 4L60. It's got a nice exhaust system, but the O2 sensors they put in the exhaust pipe behind the headers. It'd be nice if the O2 sensor bungs were in the headers. That'll keep it from getting false air going in, because if these leak, which they usually leak a lot, then air will be getting into the O2 sensor, which gives it a false lean signal. See, it's leaking right here, so there's probably air getting to the O2 sensor. It ought to have a bung put in here at the header. Hey, for this Corvette, the first thing I'm going to do is improve this ground, give it a bare spot to ground to. All right, testing first if these fans work. 2 electric fans. I unbundled the wiring. It's a pretty robust connection right there. Grounded to the frame right here. And then power snakes around. And it goes I don't know where. But I will find out. But anyway, so I got the power probe hooked up. And see, on a fan, if you get the ground tone, well, that means there's continuity. And I get it on both fans, right? And so if I apply 12 volts, I get that fan working and the other fan. All right, one thing I'm going to do is replace the starter with this starter. This one's clockable. So right now I have it clocked. This is the bottom of the block. I have it clocked where the bottom of the block is here. And it can go in either closer or farther from the block. So 153 is LT1, but the flex plate in there is the wider one, the 165 tooth. If you can see. Anyway, this one here, it's the wider flex plate, and you can really tell because look how close it comes to the side of the transmission. It is a nice new flex plate, a TCI, and it's neutral. So it has, the engine has been built. We'll see if it's a 383 or what is it. And it is a neutral, and it is a one-piece rear main seal. I have replaced the starter with this MSD. Hopefully it'll work. It's clockable. I have the solenoid up top. This is a MSD, so you can clock it, you know, in different positions. Okay, one thing we got going on, the starter works good, but this bundle was terminated at the starter battery post. And what it is it comes to here. It's the power supply, I believe for the harness that was for this LT1. So there's no fuses. That harness goes into the engine compartment. So I'm going to give that 12 volts from somewhere else, but not from down there at the starter. And what I'm thinking I'm doing is going to run a good Tefsel, maybe 10 gauge from that starter post up to here and give it like a little fuse box up here. All right, I made a new cable from the starter. This is fiberglass, this insulation here. Where is my box? Oh yeah, this is from Race Wires. Insulation 3/8, actual real nice fiberglass, cost an arm and a leg. Some nice terminals, crimped with my Swedish crimper. This is going to go anew. See, these three went straight to the starter, so this is going to go from here down to the starter, this short little one. And then there's going to be a fuse block right here. Okay, so far, you know, I'm halfway through. I disconnected the fan wiring because I'm going to work on that later. And I got to figure out what that big bundle is, that relay is. Hopefully it goes to nothing. But so far, I put in a power supply with fuses so that it can go and feed the EFI and the car. What was in there was that with no fuses. It was feeding to the interior of the car, and that was to the starter solenoid. So now there's fuses. I improved the battery stud back here. The battery stud. And I haven't really gone any further than that, except for improving the ground to the battery and making a safe power supply up there where you have a fuse. And I already started it once, but I got it off. But now it doesn't do the click, click, click. It starts up pretty good. Got good charging. All right. is hooked up with OBD1 right back there. See what coolant temp gets to. Here's another thing I'm going to do. I think this is aftermarket. So anyway, a couple of power wires come in from, when you turn key, 2 wires come to this lug, and they use this lug as a convenient spot for the 3rd wire to go to the water pump, the electric water pump. And it's fused right there, thankfully. So that you know where the wiring is, what I'm going to do is unterminate this and take these 2 wires, give them their own lug, and then put a ring terminal for the electric water pump all by itself and label it so you know that that is the electric water pump. And then also I'm going to add another lug and a wire which goes to the fan. There's a plug right there, and that's going to be the accessory on. So that relay wanted continuous B+, which is there, and it wanted accessory on, which will be there. And then we'll see how that thing works, how it's programmed. All right, so this accessory B+ post is all cleaned up, and there's mostly where needed, there's fiberglass insulation. Water pump has its own wire. It'll get labeled. It's a little better. Okay, so it was kind of loud. Let me explain what's going on. I need to make sure this coolant system in the car is working right. Now this has been retrofitted, and they kind of put in the Gen 3 Corvette expansion tank, and there is no expansion tank in this system. So there's the radiator. This is the low side, which is good, and this is the low side, and then the high side is kind of convoluted. It may have a difficulty to get push it through, but still. What I think is happening is, since the heater are capped off, the heater part on the water pump, they're capped off. Well, that's usually connected to an expansion tank. The Corvette expansion tank is the same way, and it'll be up here in the fender, and that'll be the high point. This has no expansion tank, it just has an overflow, and this overflow is a traditional overflow. So I'm thinking about putting an expansion tank in, and that probably will help make this thing 100%. Okay, expansion tank. What do you think? Polished aluminum. Right here. But, well, the same level as the top of that alternator over there. Carl Elwine Engines. Stick with me on this Gen 3 with a LT1. Take care.